Cogent character sheet is designed for normal-sized humanoids. You can easily design a dwarf or an elf or an orc, but it's incredibly hard to scale things well when dealing with tiny creatures like fairies or massive creatures like dragons. For example, the challenge level to stagger a creature is victory level 1 regardless if it is 5 or 50 feet tall. Additionally, the challenge level system only scales to inconceivable, but while it is inconceivable for a human to pick up an elephant, would it be inconceivable for Godzilla to do the same? I believe it makes the most sense to borrow a concept from D&D and implement a size system with associated bonuses and negatives. Any creature that a normal person can comfortably hold in a single hand or on an arm is considered tiny. This will include most birds, rats, snakes, puppies, etc. Anything that requires 2 hands to hold or carry is considered small. This includes some of the smaller playable species such as goblins or kobolds and most mid-sized animals like foxes or monkeys. Anything that would require more than 1 person to carry for extended periods of time is considered medium and includes most playable species and wolves, deer, ponies, etc. Large creatures are ones that will require a team to move or perhaps some moving equipment. This includes bears, trolls, and essentially anything large enough for a medium-sized individual to comfortably ride. Huge creatures are many times larger than normal individuals. Transporting one would be quite the undertaking and includes elephants, average-sized dragons, and giants. Massive creatures are some of the largest you will encounter, and their size begins to rival the largest forms of transportation available to you. They include whales, kraken, and large dragons. Gargantuan creatures are the size of kaiju. You are past the point of species. Everything at this size is a specific named creature. So what do the different sizes grant you? In most circumstances, medium creatures will be fighting medium creatures, in which case there is zero alteration to combat. That is also true of tiny creatures fighting tiny creatures, gargantuan creatures fighting gargantuan creatures, etc. However, if you are either larger or smaller than your opponent, then there will be a size differential modifier. First of all, the number of creatures you can attack doubles for every size larger you are than your opponents, and halves for every size smaller, with a minimum number of 1. While a medium creature with a combat roll of 4 can only attack 2 people, a large creature with the same roll can attack 4 people, a huge creature 8, etc. Then the numbers on this graph apply to a few things. One of which is the relative challenge levels to stagger or knock something prone. The larger something is, the harder it is to stagger, and the easier it is to stagger other things to the point that they can do it to creatures unintentionally. This also represents the relative challenge levels to lift or carry things. What would be challenge level 5 for a medium creature to pick up is only challenge level 3 for a large one. Finally, this represents the challenge levels to injure creatures. A medium creature fighting a small one will deal injuries 2 levels higher than normal. While it would take 3 victory levels for the small one to deal a point of injury to the medium one. While larger creatures seem to have a huge advantage, there are some limitations to their abilities. While larger creatures can deal more severe injuries, they still need to land the initial blow, and combat rolls do not scale with size. This means that smaller creatures and larger creatures alike start off with 0 attributes. Even if something is the size of a building, unless it is exceptional in some way outside of its bulk, it still only gets a 2 to its unarmed combat. As such, smaller creatures that are good at fighting can easily dodge attacks and score victory levels of their own, and with enough of them assisting each other can score enough victory levels to take down even the largest opponents. And there are additional debuffs to being larger than your opponents. The scaled system is true of stealth and perception as well. Smaller creatures get a stealth bonus in comparison to a larger enemy's perception, and vice versa, making it slightly harder to sneak up on creatures if you're the size of Godzilla. And anything a creature cannot see can only receive incidental damage from it. Incidental damage is a set challenge level for being in close proximity to a creature larger than you that is unaware of your presence. It requires you to succeed on an athletics or acrobatics roll, or else take the damage of being trod on. And for every size larger than your opponent, your reflex will be treated as 1 lower for determining combat turn order. As such, the incidental damage challenge level may be spread out over multiple rounds of combat as the enemy slowly lumbers around. You may have 3 rounds of combat to get a total of 3 successes to avoid being stepped on. However, if you successfully damage a creature that is unaware of you, its incidental challenge level will go up as it actively tries to hurt you even if it cannot see you. And obviously, this scaling system will not apply in all circumstances. War horses, for example, are considered large creatures, but since horses are relatively fragile and agile animals, they should not receive the damage reduction or the slower reflexes granted by their larger size. Remember to subscribe for more Cogent content.